main emphasis will be the state of Jharkhand because of its contrasting reality. We'll be dealing with that in section 6. So these are the contents. In this section, I would like to start from the term food security and nutrition security. It finds its origin in the World War II when there was a meeting between the 44 forward-looking nations. They came to a conclusion that we will be having a freedom from war, and from there, this terms food security and nutrition security finds its origin. Recently, we see that food and nutrition security, this term has been advocated by the public health and nutrition communities, mainly to integrate the nutrition thing into food security policy. The embedding of nutrition in the between food and security emphasizes that the ultimate aim of food security is to ensure nutrition, right? So there is a definition which has been given by Food and Agriculture Organization regarding food and nutrition security, that it exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to food of sufficient quantity and quality in terms of variety, diversity, nutrient content, and safety to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life, coupled with a sanitary environment, adequate health, education, and care. So, since it's a very crucial thing, so Government of India has taken very crucial initiatives. We have public distribution system since our independence. Then we have a major reform 2013 in the form of National Food Security Act, then midday meal scheme, and recently we are having the Poshan Abhiyan. So, but despite such efforts, we see that the position of India is not good when it comes to Global Hunger Index 2021. It stands at 101st position among the 116 countries. So, see, when we talk about malnutrition, we generally it comes to our mind it is regarding underweight, wasting, and stunting. But malnutrition have economic implications as well. There is a loss of productivity which is caused by the reduced schooling and cognitive impairment as well. So the paper mainly emphasizes on the contrasting reality of Jharkhand. What is the contrasting reality of Jharkhand? That Jharkhand poses 40% of India's mineral wealth on one hand, but on the other hand, it performs very poor when it comes to food and nutritional security parameters. For example, you can see that 60% of pregnant women in Jharkhand in the age of 15 to 49, they are anemic. 47.80% of children in Jharkhand, they are underweight. All the data from the next 5. So this underweight data is that it's highest in India. Okay. So, however, government of Jharkhand has taken some steps, some crucial steps. Like my previous speaker was talking about hotel, that thing, People's Hotel. Government of Jharkhand is also there has Mukhyamantri Dal Bhat Yojana, in which they give a meal with 5 rupees per plate. So, although the coverage of food and nutrition security national food security has increased from 88% to 2015-16 to 99% to 2018-19, and recently government has mainly focused on the nutrition aspect, and they have launched schemes like Didi Body Yojana and Samar Abhiyan. But what impact these schemes have made, that time will only say. So the identification problem. This section, what happens is that when we start studying about food and nutritional security, the first thing which comes into our mind that who or which person is food and nutritionally secure, or which area is food and nutritionally secure. So this is the identification problem. So this problem can be looked upon through two aspects, like macro approach and micro approach. Macro refers to the study of region, and micro approach it refers to the study of household. So there have been various studies through macro approach, like for example, the paper by Professor Gulati and others. They have used parameters like mother's BMI, duration of breastfeeding, taking IFA supplements, so for mother's education status. Then again, there was a paper by Institute of Human Development and World Food Program. They have used parameters like per capita value of agricultural output, percentage of inhabited villages having access to paved roads. They have classified actually all the parameters under the 3 pillars of availability, accessibility, and absorption. So these are the parameters which macro approach studies have taken. Now, under micro approach studies or the household studies, there was a paper by Abafita and Kim. They have taken the parameters like age of household head, sex of household head, etc. So, and again, there was an interesting paper which used a microeconomic model of food security by Katarzyna and Rakib. They have used utility functions to try to find out the status of food and nutritional security through micro approach. So these are the papers, there are various parameters have been used by different papers to find out the status of food and nutritional security. So, but it is clear that none of the study can clearly say that yes, these are the set of parameters which can clearly give you that yes, this is the food nutrition secure area, or this is and this household is food and nutrition insecure. So there have been anomaly in that, but with evolution of studies, certain parameters which play a dominant role have come to the picture, like role of women. All the studies, they come to a conclusion that role of women is very important in securing food and nutrition security. For example, the paper by Sikha Jai says that if we'll be reducing bias against women by specifically designated targeted programs, it's a very untapped source of food security. And women's income is more strongly associated with improvement in child nutrition than men's income. So there are, see, the role of women is not only specified to India. There have been other studies like in Bangladesh by Helen Harris and Fry, Abdullah and others in Pakistan, and taking all the development countries in one go. Zian Havarnama, she has also come to the same conclusion. And one interesting thing is that if one is taking care of women nutrition, child nutrition is automatically taken care of. So child nutrition is very important in one sense, because we all are sitting here, we are discussing about all these things because our parents, they have ensured that we must get proper food, proper nutrition in our childhood, right? So individual's nourishment in childhood, it very well decides the cognitive ability and overall productivity as an adult. And this is what ultimately forms human capital for a nation. So it decides the work capacity and productivity. There is a concept again. There is a concept of the capacity curve. So the capacity curve links the capacity of individual again with this thing. Okay. So in this section we'll be seeing the global appraisal. So there have been reports by the organizations, Food and Agriculture Organization, WHO and UNICEF. They have come to the conclusion that since we are having a sustainable development goal 2, that is to eliminate hunger and this thing. So we are not on the right track. So many papers, they have come to the conclusion it's because of COVID-19 that we are not on the right track. COVID-19 has led to the COVID-19 pandemic has increased the vulnerabilities and inadequacies of the global food system. But again, the counter argument by the Asian Development Bank is that, see, COVID-19 pandemic is of recent origin. Why you are blaming COVID-19 pandemic? That because of COVID-19 pandemic, we are not on the right track of achieving sustainable development goals. But there are other persistent supply side hurdles like fall in agricultural productivity, like climate change, which are more pertinent in this sense. So there have been various comparative studies by, for example, Professor Ashok Gulati. They have compared different countries. They have come to the conclusion that all the countries are doing very well, but India has to do more well, because it is having one sixth of the world population, and it is facing the greatest challenges pertaining to food and food security. So, but again, the counter argument is that the comparative studies cannot yield the right conclusion, in the sense that every country has their own set of circumstances. So we cannot compare one country with other country based on one set of parameters. So, but one thing, then again, they have come to a consensus that role of agriculture is something which they have come in consensus with. All of them are on a consensus that the agriculture should be developed, and if a sustainable agriculture is developed, then one can do a lot of things in ensuring food and nutrition security. But again, Alexander and Spitalana, they assert that it's not the availability of food. When you're talking about development of agriculture, it's not about the availability of the food, it's about accessibility of the food, which is the main hurdle. Sorry, 2 minutes. So coming to India, in India also we see that since after the independence, there have been increase in the previous coverage. Government has decided to bring more and more people under the coverage. But according to Angus Deaton, there have been fall in calorie intake in the last 25 years. Despite increase in the real income. But Professor Abhijit Seth and Himanshu, they say that increase in real income doesn't necessarily ensure increase in the calorie intake. It can be reversed also. They are of the view that it's the PDS and MDM, means government intervention programs, that has actually led to the increase in that actually lead to the increase in the calorie intake. So there is a positive synergy between social protection programs and food security, which everybody has come in conclusion with. For example, there have been success stories in Rwanda, Brazil, that government interventions play a very crucial role in ensuring food and nutrition security. Now the economics in the present scenario, now the economics are demanding for the universalization of food provisioning. Like Professor Himanshu and Abhijit Sen, they are talking about universalization of food provisioning. But Professor John Gray has gone a step further. He's talking about conclusion, sir. He's talking about basic that food security is the basic democratic right of an individual. Now coming to the Jharkhand thing, sir. The contrasting reality of Jharkhand is that it's the tribal dominated state, but after its formation, the status of the tribals here are very worrisome. Comparing with Chhattisgarh and Bihar, it shows that Chhattisgarh and Bihar, because of their the big reforms they have taken, coupled with political and social wills, they have brought far more changes in their public distribution system structure there, but Jharkhand is still lagging behind. So what conclusion we can derive, what way forward we can take is that policy making must keep women and child in the center, number one. Number two, region specific sustainable agriculture practices needs to be vigorously promoted. Third, social protection programs need to be implemented efficiently with the help of technology and training. Number four, government must look into the possibility whether universalization of food provisioning is possible or not. And lastly, best practices can be adopted from Bihar and Chhattisgarh to bring out reforms in public distribution system. Thank you.
Good, Harsh, you have did a lot of research and your food and nutrition security with reference to Jharkhand. Basically, you have review of all India studies. I don't see any very specific to Jharkhand, but it's a good review of the technology you need to bring in Jharkhand related aspects in your empirical.
Because of shortage of time, I have to pass.
I hope if you are working on the empirics of Jharkhand there. So if there is any clarificatory question, one or two we can take. I think there is none, so we move to the last.
Yeah.
Who is well nourished in India? You, me, or
Exactly, I
somebody
agree
else?
with that. We
So
cannot.
Mukesh Kumar from IIT Roorkee and Pratap Mohanty, IIT.
Thank
10
you.
minutes.
Thank you very much for giving me time. We are already out of time, so I think I should more focus on.
We can finish by 4 o'clock, but I want some 5-10 minutes discussion.
Thank you. So, who is well nourished in India and age and socioeconomic matrix? It is a kind of fact sheet on nutrition in India from childhood to elderly. So earlier, the data major source of data in India on nutrition is National Family Health Survey, but limitation of the data is it covers only 0 to 5 age group and reproductive age people. So major gap in data remained in the critical age group, that is adolescents 10 to 19 and school age children 5 to 10, and people above the age of 49 in case of women and 54 in case of men. So to fill this gap, I have conceptualized this presentation. So this is, sorry. So these are the research questions I want to address, like what is the extent of malnutrition? So one clarification, malnutrition in this paper we consider not only undernutrition, because overweight obesity is a kind of malnutrition. So but major emphasis remain on undernutrition from human development perspective, because it indicates the lack of something, deprivation, and overweight obesity indicates the excess. So these are the research questions. This is the measurement of malnutrition, how malnutrition is measured among the children under 5 years. There are World Health Organization 2006 child growth standard, which is the stunting, wasting and underweight below the -2 standard deviation from the growth standard of 2006. For children age group 6 to 10, stunting is defined with using the growth reference of 2007, which indicates, conceptualize how to measure the undernutrition among 6 to 19 age group. And importantly, underweight is not defined for the age group 10 to 19, because it is explicitly mentioned by the WHO. It is an age of rapid physical and psychological kind of transition. Therefore, weight fluctuate very high, and we cannot get accurate accurate data on underweight in this age group. So stunting is defined and thinness, that is for children it is considered as wasting, and in this age group it is thinness, low BMI for age group. And adults and elder, we have taken the conventional WHO BMI index below 18.5 for the undernourishment, and above 25 is considered as overweight or obesity. Specifically, obesity is greater than 30, but in this paper, we have conceptualized overweight or obesity BMI greater than 25. So these are the data sources we have combined with comprehensive national nutrition survey, which covers the age group 0 to 19, and NFHS 5, which cover the 15 to 49 for female and 15 to 54 for males. But our CNNS data also included the age group 0 to 19. Therefore, from NFHS data, we have taken the age group 20 and above. Another reason for taking this is the NFHS data, traditional or conventional BMI criterion is taken for the age group 15 to 19, which overestimate the prevalence of overweight obesity and underestimate the prevalence of undernourishment in this age group. A recent paper was published by Madhvi et al. In PLOS ONE journal. And another is longitudinal aging study of in India that covers the people age group of above 45 and till. So these are the results. 3 slides are there. So first is prevalence of stunting among children and adolescents in India by socioeconomic status. So the highest prevalence of stunting is among the age group 25 to 59 months or 2 to 5 age group. And in rural and urban area, the gap is highest. Disparity in rural urban area is also highest in this age group. But as we reach the highest prevalence reduces in the age group 5 to 9, then again start increasing in the early adolescence 10 to 14, which is conceptualized as early adolescence, and reach again almost to the 0 to 2 years level in the age group 15 to 19 years. If we look into the socioeconomic disparities, 28% male in 15 to 19 age group are stunted and females are 30%. So this is a relatively disadvantage for females. Again, wealth index among the poorest children or among the poorest household, 55% children are stunted in the age group 24 5 months to 60 months. And in terms of relative disadvantage, economic disadvantage is greater compared to the social disadvantage. Look at the poorest and richest group and the so-called historically disadvantaged social group and upper caste group. So we take a ratio, then economic disadvantage is greater than the social disadvantage. Prevalence of wasting for the children and thinness for the adolescents among children and adolescents by the same socioeconomic group. Why it is important wasting? Because wasting has the highest risk factor of the child mortality. Though stunting is also a measure of chronic undernourishment, but wasting has the highest risk of infant mortality, and WHO defined that prevalence of wasting more than 50% is of a serious concern, and unfortunately, except 3 groups, richest household in the age group below 2 years, richest household in the age group 3 to 5 years, and SC categories, all other groups, rural urban residents and religious group children, we are among the we have a serious concern or serious prevalence of wasting among our children and adolescents. Gender difference evolves in favor of females as the age group increases, but recent studies indicate that this can be partly explained by the rapid weight gain after the starting of age of menarche in the early adolescence. Women's or females weight gain increase after the menarche. This can be explained that because in this age group the prevalence of wasting is low for women. It is not expected in if we look into the previous age groups. This is the prevalence of low BMI or undernourishment among our adolescents and the elderly, and prevalence of overweight or obesity. So, except for rural residents, poorest and poorer wealth quantiles, all age groups and from socioeconomic background peoples, obesity is overwhelmed by the undernourishment. Means we are becoming an obese or overweight society if we take the age group of 22 above. So our adults are becoming rapidly overweight and obese, our children are still undernourishment, and we are facing a kind of problem of dual burden of malnutrition in India. And even our preliminary analysis of NFHS 5 data indicates that individual level dual burden is also emerging among children in India under 5 age group. Those children who are stunted, among those 5-6% children are overweight. Those who are stunted. So we are
Double burden.
so dual burden at individual level among children, that is more serious problem, because with the phase of nutrition transition, demographic transition and epidemiological transition, these changes are becoming more serious or more challenging for India. So discussion, almost half of the population or country has some form of malnutrition. Then preventive strategy for child malnutrition should begin with potential mothers, means the adolescents. And the Lancet Commission on 2021 on adolescent nutrition proposed that adolescents can be an additional or possibly last window of opportunity, because first 1,000 days are considered as window of opportunity to eliminate the child malnutrition. But recent Lancet Commission said that intervention in adolescents can be another window of opportunity to eliminate the malnutrition in its all forms. Earlier studies also indicate that for taking the adolescent under nutrition, midday meal and ICDS plays crucial role. These are the conclusion. This is our study presents the fact sheet. Basically, interpretation are still in development, and we are facing a kind of missing normality problem. And apart from socioeconomic, we are a deeply unequal society born out of the nutritional standpoint. And these data are before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we don't know what is happening to nutritional outcomes after COVID world. So our suggestion is that government must implement a comprehensive survey which take into account the health and nutritional profile of the household, so that we can know what are the. Thank you.
So, Mukesh, good paper, various aspects of malnutrition, stunting, wasting, obesity, you have dealt with all these indicators. I think it's a very good paper, and concluding session of this session of nutrition and food security. If there is any, yeah. Thank you. Please,